What's up everyone, Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Couple quick things before we dive in. Of course, check out my website, btcsessions.ca. This is where you can reach out to me personally and book your own BTC session. We can chat Bitcoin, wallets, proper security, whatever you like. All you need to do is scroll to the very bottom. There's a contact form for you there. And secondly, shout out to the sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin as collateral to get a Canadian or US dollar loan. All you need to do is go to the site. There's a slider there so you can check out how much of a deposit is required for a specific dollar amount. There's no credit check involved. There's just a short application, takes a couple minutes, and if you're successful, your bank account is typically funded within 24 hours. They've also got a deal on right now where if you go to the link I provide below and you do get a loan, you'll get $50 of Bitcoin extra allocated to your account. So anyways, if you're looking to get your hands on dollars but you would not like to sell your Bitcoin to do so, this might be an option for you. And with that, let's dive into the news. And so we're going to chat a little bit of price, not too much, but yeah, we've been seeing some moves back upwards with Bitcoin in the last 24 hours. So we did have a dip down to kind of that $7,600 range US. Now we're up back above 8,000, so 8,165 at the time of recording this, but we have been into the 8,200s a little bit. So will we break that resistance at 83, whatever it is, 83.50, somewhere around there? I guess we'll see. If we break it, then we could have another significant rise up, but otherwise we could be headed back down to that $7,400 range. I guess we will find out. But one person who's super bullish is Max Keiser. Max Keiser Permabull. If you haven't seen Max Keiser on RT, he does a lot of fun stuff. He covers Bitcoin quite a bit. He's been into it for a while. He's a very exuberant guy. He's a lot of fun. I actually really enjoy watching Max. He has some pretty good rants. Anyways, so he's done a few interviews given that it was Blockchain Week in New York, and so he's doubling down on his call of $100,000 Bitcoin, and that's in light of it reaching new yearly highs this past week. And he said that the Federal Reserve's policies will cause a chain of events that will cement BTC's status as a store of value. So some of the quotes here from him, he said on the subject of Warren Buffett, who continues to kind of crap on Bitcoin, he says that Buffett's too mired in his ways. He can't adapt. He's not agile. He hasn't got the brain power for it. And I think that Buffett's a smart guy, but he's smart at what he has learned to do over the decades, which is invest in traditional blue chip companies and look for good deals in that space. He has no background in tech, in anything like that. So why would somebody look to him for advice on something like this? He missed Google, he missed Amazon, he's gonna miss Bitcoin. Also from Max, further to those Federal Reserve notes that he touched on earlier, when the Federal Reserve Bank signaled that they were going into permanent quantitative easing, I said, look, that's the bottom for Bitcoin. That was about 3,200 on Bitcoin, because they're making it clear now that there's going to be no accountability by the Fed. They're going to print ad infinitum, ad nauseum. There's going to be no rollback, no kind of attempt to balance the books. And so, yeah, I mean, Max has always been super bullish on Bitcoin, and he hates the establishment. He hates the Fed. He hates central banks, and he's an advocate of Bitcoin and the exact kind of person that would have been into Bitcoin super early on, so more power to him. Now, his 100K guess, now I haven't seen him put a timeline on that, unless I missed it, but do I think that number is outlandish? Absolutely not. Do I think it's happening soon? I don't see anything like that happening before the halving. In fact, I think it would take some time after the halving to get anywhere near that. Maybe in the year following at some point, but yeah, I don't think we're going to be hitting 100K this year by any means. But I do think that number is not as outlandish as it may sound. Anyways, let's move on to this next thing here. And this is super fun. So there is the presidential hopeful for the ECB, the European Central Bank. His name is Francois Villeroy de Gallo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he says that stable coins hold more promise than Bitcoin. He said that fiat-pegged crypto will have a place in the legacy financial system. Of course, he would say that. He's wants to be the president of the European Central Bank. He wants fiat to continue to exist, to be able to just print more money, print themselves out of a corner. It's a natural thing for him to say. Another quote here, he said, "The Bank of France is observing with great interest initiatives in the private sector which aim at developing networks within which stablecoins would be used in transactions involving tokenized securities or goods and services. These are quite different from speculative assets like bitcoins and more promising." And so this is also another quote from the current ECB president, Mario Draghi. And he said, "A euro is a euro today, tomorrow, in a month. It's always a euro. And the ECB is behind the euro. Who is behind cryptocurrencies?" Which is such a funny statement, because he's saying a euro is a euro. A Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. The unit itself is not the point. It's what are the fundamentals behind that unit. When you have something like the euro, the fundamentals aren't there because it's just, flip of a switch, arbitrary decisions made by the central bank. We're running into problems. Well, we're going to print more. Whereas Bitcoin has a set monetary policy based on Austrian economics, and that is hard-coded into the protocol. And it cannot be changed because of the level of decentralization inherent in Bitcoin. So who's behind it? Everybody that uses it. Who's behind the euro? A select group of people at the top, with nobody that's using it having any say in the decisions of that governing body. It's what is backing each one of these. A euro is a euro. Sure. What's the euro worth? Well, it depends on how much you guys print. A Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. Well, what's a Bitcoin worth? Well, we know that there's a set amount, and with supply and demand, if people continue to find it useful, then over time that value and purchasing power should appreciate. He's playing this game of who's backing it and who are you trusting, whereas Bitcoin was created because people were sick of trusting central banks. And it's hilarious to see quotes like this coming out of people from central banks, because it just really echoes the fact that they are just tone deaf to the very reason why this stuff was created. Now, they did touch on something in here in relation to tokenized securities. Now, this is interesting to me because we just had an announcement from Blockstream about Liquid. Now, what is Liquid? It is a sidechain of Bitcoin. So a network that is pegged to the Bitcoin network, capitalizing on the security of the Bitcoin network. And what this is doing is they announced that they're launching an app that allows people to essentially take stock and migrate that stock, or create stocks that are then based within the Bitcoin blockchain via this Liquid sidechain. So you could feasibly have, say, Tesla stock. Let's say Tesla wanted to issue stock, but they didn't want to do it traditionally through the legacy system. They could issue stock via the Liquid network, which is pegged to Bitcoin so that they have the decentralization and security of the Bitcoin network. And that then enables people to no longer have to go through a centralized exchange to access it necessarily. Now, this is different from something like an ICO. So an STO, security token, whereas an ICO essentially offers you nothing in exchange, right? It's a native currency that has to be used within a specific network, but it doesn't offer you, it's not like you're owning part of a company when you buy an ICO. It is a currency that may or may not be used by a company or centralized entity in their business. And their business, the success of that business in no way really impacts the value of the token. And one example of this from a while back that I'll point to is Kik Messenger launched something, a token called Kin. And so this was a currency that would be based within the Kik Messenger app, and people could, send it back and forth to each other. Now, Kik, the company, could go on to be a multi-billion-dollar company, and Kin, the token, could have value if people use it, but could also be worth absolutely nothing if people opt not to use it. Now, it in no way reflects the value of Kik, the company itself. As I said, Kik Messenger could be making revenue other ways, and that does not filter out or drip down to the people holding Kin token in any way, shape, or form, other than if there's a demand for the Kin token itself. And so this is actually part of securities law too. Like, in order to issue a stock, you have to be, in the US, you have to register with the SEC in order to do that. Well, what Liquid is trying to do is allow companies to issue stock that is approved through the SEC on the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's different. You're actually buying a piece of a company as you would with a regular stock, but it's based on Bitcoin. So it's pegged to the Bitcoin blockchain, and it utilizes that security model. Now, I think the interesting part here is looking at why would you do that? Well, to me, the appeal of having a tokenized security is in that you don't have to go to these centralized platforms, go to your TD Ameritrade or go to your whatever other platform, the NASDAQ, the NYSE. You don't have to go to a stock market to exchange. You can exchange them peer-to-peer. The problem is in the regulation, because regulators are not gonna let you do that. So is this perhaps, again, a tactic of kind of Trojan horsing in there so that the regulators don't realize what is possible here before it's too late? Possibly. I don't know. They do speak about the fact that they are able to enforce certain regulations. So they can have certain restrictions in, so like regional restrictions or investor accreditation. They can code those in to their tokens or their security tokens, but will that hold up? And will companies from other areas of the globe just say screw that and not go to the regulator and issue tokens? And if so, is Blockstream then at fault for allowing them to do so? If they do, a lot of questions here. I'm not sure on the answers. Interesting nonetheless. Yeah. Will the next ICO boom be the STO boom? Maybe. Will that contribute to a rise in Bitcoin's price, given that ETHs went through the roof when ICOs were all the rage? Maybe. Am I excited about that? I don't know. ICOs got super scammy. I hope the same doesn't happen with assets issued on something like Liquid. I'm hopeful that it won't, but I'm not convinced that it won't. So I guess we'll see moving forward. Anyways, let's get on to one last little thing I want to talk about here. So quite a while back, earlier in the year, we were talking about Cryptopia. and that's an exchange based in New Zealand, and they got hacked. They lost something to the tune of about 15 million US dollars in their hack, which actually was 10% of their holdings. Well, they've been shut down and stopped trading for months now, and they've had law enforcement involved, and it looks like it could take a further set of months rather than weeks, and this is to the point where they are now liquidating assets. So liquidators are focused on securing the assets for the benefit of all stakeholders while this process and investigation takes place. Trading on the exchange is suspended. So yeah, basically they're just waiting to see what they have left, what they can do with it, how people will be paid out, and what's going to happen. It's still a big question mark. So on the other side of that coin, you have Binance, which also just recently endured a hack of about 7,000 Bitcoin. Well, they are back up and running today. So deposits, withdrawals, trading, all of that is back open. People can take their money off of Binance if they wish, or deposit and trade as they see fit. And it's interesting because Binance, their hack was about 2% of their holdings, versus the 10% of Cryptopia. Now, if it was 10% of Binance's holdings, would they be in a similar boat? I don't know. Who knows? Not only that, but their kind of SAFU fund is what it's called, but their special fund that they keep as insurance against something like this is held in BNB, the BNB token. And so when confidence in their system, in the Binance platform, goes down, so does the value of the Binance token, meaning that their insurance policy, their held funds to bail out users if something like this happens, can also nosedive when a hack like this happens, because the confidence is gone and the token doesn't have as much value in that case. So I would think it would be better moving forward for Binance to have that fund held in an alternative currency, possibly Bitcoin, or if they really wanted to, maybe like a stable coin or something. But having it in BNB seems a little odd to me. So this just kind of points to the fact that you always have to be careful when dealing with custodians. Ideally, you don't want to have your money with custodians unless absolutely necessary. And if you do, you need to understand the risks that are involved. There is no guarantee that you will get your money back. So you need to weigh what you're doing. Okay, maybe you're a day trader and you're trading regularly, and that's part of your living. And so with that comes the risk of having to deal with stuff like this. And so you've got to balance, well, how much money do you need on the exchange at any one time if you're doing that? If you're just holding, then maybe you don't want any money on an exchange and you want to have it in cold storage, which is probably a solid choice. So you got to think about these things when you're dealing with your Bitcoin and if you're dabbling in other crap. And to that point, Coinbase, they have a custody solution that they offer to institutions. They now have $1 billion worth of cryptocurrency under their management. $1 billion of cryptocurrency that they are in custody of for somebody else, for other institutions. And this to me is worrisome. It's like a ticking time bomb, because what happens when they endure a hack like the one that Binance, like the one that Cryptopia faced? So I mean, imagine a 10% hack of Coinbase. That's $100 million that is just gone. And so then what happens? Do the investors that lost money, are they paid out? Does insurance cover that at all? If so, what are they paid out in? What if they want to be paid out in the cryptocurrency that they lost? Well, and what if there's not enough money to buy that back? What if that will move the market? $100 million worth of crypto, if you wanted to quickly rebuy that and give it back to investors, they may never see the same amount of crypto that they were holding. And particularly if they were holding Bitcoin and you lost $100 million worth of Bitcoin and had to rebuy it, you're going to move the market and you're not going to be able to get the same amount. So I worry about stuff like this. I worry about custodians. And I mostly worry because it's people from the legacy financial system that are used to entities that, you know, if hundreds of millions of dollars go missing, they can just say, well, you know, we'll just fractional reserve it and it's fine. Or if stuff goes really wrong, then we've got a lender of last resort, and the Fed will bail us out. There's no lender of last resort here. In this situation, if money goes missing, you've got to pony up and rebuy the Bitcoin, or you go bust. So I think that something like this down the line, and it's not going to be immediate, but down the line, something like this could be what really collapses the legacy financial system, when you've got people used to having assets that can be printed like there's no tomorrow, and then they find out that it doesn't work the same way with Bitcoin. Yeah, I'll cap it there. Anyways, before I go, I want to let you guys know that over at Bitcoin Outlet, we just launched, we've got some a sticker pack. So there's some bull Bitcoin stickers. There's a few of them. The End War by Bitcoin. There's the hodler sticker. I've got that shirt that I've been wearing. Obviously other bull Bitcoin stickers. This was the original. This was coded into the first Bitcoin block, and it was the headline of the day when the Bitcoin network launched. Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for the banks. So this was that date, and we've got a couple other bull Bitcoin designs there. So feel free to check those out. I'll make sure I include a link down below for Bitcoin Outlet. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you want to help the show, hit up my website, hit up the sponsor Ledn at the link down below. You can smash subscribe, like, hit that bell notification. I'm always in the side chat when this airs for the first time, so make sure you make it back for that next time it's live. And if you really like what you saw, you can drop me a Bitcoin tip via the Lightning Network at my tippin.me page. If you don't know how, I created a video tutorial for that, and you can check it out. I'll link that as well. With that, I'm out. Thank you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for your daily session.